Okay, thank you everyone for being here. Today, as you know, we're going to go over the booth portal. And the booth portal is just where you're going to be able to control various aspects of your booth, including things like banner image, header image, background image, logo, that kind of thing. So before I go into that, I'm actually going to start by showing an example of what a booth is going to look like on the front end. Now, just note that there will be a separate training for going over the front end features of your booth specifically. Today, again, we're just mainly going to go over the portal, but I do want to show what the booth is going to look like. That way you're kind of understanding where the different images and aspects of the booth are going to look like once you get those set up. So I'll click in here, and right here we have our example meeting play booth that I'm going to click into. And this is our example booth page. So you're pretty much going to have control over almost all design aspects on this page. So you can see up top here, we've got our header image, we've got a sponsor ad if you're the sponsor tier level down below. We've got the booth logo, which you also saw on the previous page before clicking into the booth down here. We can control things like the header bar color, the background color, buttons, all of those you can portal right down to the highlight color of these buttons to the side, as well as the about info on the right. So I'm going to then go ahead and switch over. Now I'm already logged in, but there is a login page that's going to ask for a booth code, your email and password. Now your login credentials will be sent to you on the PDAC exhibits at pdacevents.ca. So keep an eye out for that, and that'll give you the information that you need to get signed in to see this page here. So it takes you right to the dashboard page, which you can see have a couple different shortcuts to the different aspects that you can edit, or you can just use the side navigation over here on the left. They're all the same. So I'm actually just going to start on the left just so we can go down in a nice organized fashion from top to bottom. So I'll start with company details. It's exactly what it sounds like. You can edit things like city, category of business, anything like that. There's an about section down below, and it does always tell you exactly your character limit, if there is a character limit. A lot of this is going to be pulled over from registration, but this is where you can make changes if you need to. Next tab is websites, which again, exactly what it sounds like. A lot of this is very intuitive. So this is just where you can put different links within your booth page so that people can navigate to your external sites. So each website section has two parts. There's a label, which is what the button is going to display on the front end, and then the URL itself, which is where it will navigate the person to when they click that label. One very important thing to note about this website section, and it does say it up here at the top too, in case you forget, but do make sure that when you're entering your links, you include the HTTP or HTTPS prefix. If you forget to include that, the link will not work on the front end. So if you're having any issues, if you're entering this and then you go and test it on the front end in your booth and your link's not working, it's taking you to a 404 page or something like that, go back in here and make sure that you do have that prefix, and that will most likely fix whatever issue that you're having. And you can have up to 20 websites on your page, so as many as you need. And then again, a 45 character max for the label portion, which should be more than enough. Next is the handouts, which is different documents that you can upload to be made accessible within your booth. You can have up to 10 handouts here. And again, we have all the specs that you need to follow down up at the top here in this blue banner. So you can upload PDFs, Word documents, PowerPoint files, anything of that nature. And all you have to do is type in a name for your handout just to show what it's going to display as on the front end. Sort order is the order that it will display in within your booth. So say you upload something that you want to be first on your list of handouts, you'll just type a 1 there, and then 2, 3, 4, and so on and so forth. To upload, you'll just hit the choose file button, and then you can select the file directly off of your computer. Again, making sure it's one of these accepted formats and that it is in fact under 10 MB in terms of file size. So once you have done that, selected your file, entered the handout name and sort order, the handouts will appear down below. You can see I've already uploaded 2 test PDFs here. Once you've uploaded your PDFs, you can make changes to them if you need to. So if you need to change either the sort order or the handout name, or even change the file itself, you can do that by clicking this, and you can make any changes here. And if I need to completely delete a file, I can do that as well by hitting remove. And I don't want to do that because I do want to leave these here. Next is highlights, which is where you can upload any of your company's special event offers, up to 10, like the handouts as well. Same thing, you'll enter a title and a sort order for each handout. There is also a section for a brief description. Up to 500 characters is your maximum. You can include an external link if you need to, again, making sure that you're including that URL prefix. And you can add an image for this as well. Same exact thing, you'll select your file from your computer. It has to be either a JPEG or a PNG, and it gives you the dimensions that you need to follow there as well, so that it looks its best. And then you'll hit save, and you can see, again, anything that you've already uploaded will be down in the list in the bottom, where you can remove, edit, or you can even preview what it's going to look like. So this is an example of that, the one that I've already uploaded, what it's going to look like. So you've got your image that you uploaded at the top, you've got the title that you entered, and then your brief description here. And then the view will take them to that external link that you entered. Bring it back. And that's all there really is to that one. Next is a big one. Next is booth design. So this is going to be where you upload your different images that I showed you just a second ago over on this page. So I'll kind of walk you through what each image is. So first thing is the logo. And again, nice thing about this is that within this booth portal here, it does always give you the specs. So it tells you exactly what file type you need to be uploading. It tells you the exact dimensions that it needs to be. And it even gives you a brief description of where that particular image is going to display on the front end for attendees. So this top one is just simply a logo, and this is what will display within the directory and on the attendees followed items page. So it's mainly just in terms of when people are searching specifically for that booth, this is what will display, the little icon. Next is just the standard banner image, and this is for everybody. And this is what displays in the top right corner of your booth. So you can see I have this right here. Next is the exhibit hall logo. This is a big one because this is what displays not only inside your booth down here on the bottom left, but it is also, if you remember before I clicked in here, it's what displays on this main listings page. So this is the image called the exhibit hall logo. Next is the header image, and it's exactly what it sounds like. It's this image at the top. So it's the first thing that you see when you enter the page of your booth. And then last, we've got our sponsor ad, which is, oh, that's music playing, which is what displays below the booth on the bottom, sponsor ad that displays specifically within the booth. Again, if you're that sponsor tier, and it is on the bottom right here. So that's really all there is to images. It's all pretty straightforward. If you're ever unsure, again, there is a little description at the bottom if you forget what each one is. And again, you can always make changes. So if you upload something and you don't quite like the way it looks, you can always upload a new one, just delete it and then re-upload your image here within the booth portal. And then the second part of your booth design is booth customization. So this is more the color scheme of the booth, as I mentioned before. And the great thing about this within the sponsor booth is that it gives you this little example screenshot of your booth on the very page that you're editing on. So as you're making changes to these colors, you can actually see the changes in real time in this little example snapshot. So for example, we've got first thing is the button background color and font color. You can see, I'll make it a funky color so you can see the change. You got the buttons on the side navigation as well as the chat button. That's what this is controlling. So all you have to do to change that is you just click on the bar and it brings up this color slider. You can either select just by eyeballing it and moving your little dot around the colors, or you can specifically enter your RGB color. You can use variations of that. You can have your hex code that you enter if you know that specifically, or you can even use an eyedropper if you need to pull a color from somewhere else. So a lot of different options on how you can do that. I'm going to set it back to this dark purple. And then, of course, you can also edit the font color for each of these. So I'm going to leave it for white since that's what's most visible on mine, but you can change it to anything that you'd like. Next is the header background color and font color. So that is going to be, again, let me make it something bright so you can see the change. It's this bar at the top of the page. And again, I can change the font color if I need to. But I'm going to go ahead and set that back. There we go. Sidebar background color and font color is this over to the right. Again, you can change the background and the text color, again, keeping in mind that you do want something that contrasts nicely so it's easy for attendees to read. And lastly, the active tab color is what I showed you over here. So it's what color is going to show that a little bit there. When people are cycling through on the side navigation, whenever they click, and I can't click on this because again, it's just an example, but if I were to click on notes, it would highlight it in this color as I showed you on the front end. And that I believe is the only one where you cannot edit the color. I think it defaults to white. And then last thing is the background graphic or background colors. So if I go back over here, it's literally what's going to be displaying on the background of the entire page here. And you have a few different options for that. You can either upload a specific graphic. You do have that option. Again, it has to be a JPG or PNG, and it gives you the dimensions here. Choose a file directly from your computer, as we've been doing. Or as we've done, you can select to use a color for the background. You can either use a single solid color, or as we've done in this example here, we've decided to make it a gradient. So we go ahead and select the primary background color that you'd like, and then the secondary color of the gradient that you would like it to fade into. And if you do want a gradient, you do have to make sure that you have this particular checkbox selected as we do. Otherwise, it'll just be, as you can see, a single color here. So let me go ahead and reselect that purple. And that is the color, again, that you're going to see in the background here. Making sure to hit save once you've done your changes. And then the last option, if you don't want to have a specific graphic or color for your background, if you just want to use this default background that the rest of the event site is using, then you can just select neither use the event background. And then again, that'll just show this standard PDAC branding that we have for the rest of the site. I guess one other thing to note for this particular background color section is that this background is only going to be affected when you are specifically on your booth page. If you navigate anywhere else in the site, of course, it is just going to go back to the standard event branding. This is only for your page. So this is to customize your booth specifically. So just make note of that. Next is the videos section. So this is where you can upload up to 4 videos that are going to display on your page. And before I go over the specifics of that, I do want to show them over here. So this is going to control both this section right here, the main video that's playing, and there's also a little videos tab over to the right that shows all the different videos that you have uploaded. So how this works is that, say you upload 3 videos as we have here in our example, those 3 videos are going to play in a loop in the order that you have them listed. So that is just going to loop automatically. When you enter the page, it auto plays. Once this video reaches the end, it will then automatically start your second video, and so on and so forth. The reason we have the videos tab over to the right is so you can switch over to a specific video if you want to play a specific video. So say I'm in the middle of this one, but I want to go back and rewatch the first one. I can select that and that'll replay that one, or I can jump ahead to the third one. I can play whatever video I want at any given moment. But if I don't do that, again, it'll just cycle through, it'll loop through automatically in order. So in order to upload a video, you do have 3 different options. They are listed here in detail. So the first one is to enter an external MP4 link. These are links that you can get if your video is hosted on an external video platform, such as Vimeo or something along those lines. And the important thing to note about that is to make sure, again, that you have the full URL here, the full link. That includes the HTTP prefix as well as the URL should end in .mp4. It has to be an MP4 link in order for that to work. You also have the option to just directly upload an MP4 file from your computer, kind of as we've been doing this for the other images on the booth. And that's, again, exactly what it sounds like. You'll just find the file on your desktop or downloads or wherever you have it saved on your computer and upload that directly to the site. And then your third option is a YouTube link. So you'll just drop in the exact YouTube link that your video is hosted on. And again, I know I'm sounding a little bit redundant, but it is a very easy thing to mix. Make sure that you are including the full YouTube link. So not only, the HTTP, HTTPS, but also the full, youtube.com/whatever the rest of the URL is. I've seen many times where people will just end that final section and not include the youtube.com, and that will result in a broken link. So again, just make sure you're entering the full URL. Just go to the page that the video is hosted on, copy paste the URL and drop it in. So again, just to show how that is, you'll go to add new, select the option that you'd like to use. I'll go ahead and let's do this just as an example. And again, it will ask you to enter a title for your video just so that it shows what you want it to show down below here under each one. And then you will also be required to upload a thumbnail. Make sure you're doing that. Again, it has to be JPEG or PNG. And that is what is going to be displaying over here in the videos tab while the video is not playing. So make sure you have your thumbnail selected for your videos. Upload that here. And it does also give you the specific MP4 file upload requirements if you're directly uploading an MP4 file. So if you are the person in charge of, if you're having errors and you're not sure why, these are some things that you can look at. So if you're the person that is, oops, sorry, this thing keeps auto playing on me. Let's go ahead and mute that just in case. These are things to look for if you're the person who is rendering the video or exporting it or anything along those lines, or if you know who is, have them take a look at these specs just to make sure that it's meeting everything that it should. But again, if it's a standard MP4 file, you should be just fine. But we wanted to include these just in case you do need to troubleshoot or if you're having any issues. These are some things that you can look for. And then, of course, whenever you're done doing that, they are displayed again here. And you can drag and drop them to change the order of how they'll display within the booth and how they will autoplay. So very simple. Just click on the little dots over to the left and drag those around as you need. And then, of course, again, you can edit if you need to edit the title or the video or anything along those lines. And if you need to delete one, you can do that as well. Very simple. Next section is polls. So this is exactly what it sounds like. You can add some polls to display on your booth over here. You've got an example poll, I'll show that what that looks like. You've got your title here, click on that. And then the attendee can go in and click on their answer and then hit finish. And that will submit their answer, which you can display or which you can view the results then later. So if I need to make any changes, this is what the editor looks like for the poll. So you'll enter your poll name. You'll enter the button label, which is what you just saw over on the front end. You can enter your questions. You can change the question type to either a multiple choice question, as you just saw, or you can make it open-ended. The is required box, that just is you deciding if each question has to be answered in order to go on to the next question. If you do want each question to be required, check this box here. You can also edit the answer options if you're using a multiple choice one. So I can enter those there. I can delete if I need to, delete questions if I need to. And then I'm going to just go ahead and save my changes. I can't make any changes to, I can't delete this particular poll as you saw before I was editing it, just because people have already submitted their answers to this. So just kind of keep that in mind. If people have already responded, you're limited as to what you can do with that poll from then on. But if no one's answered it yet, you can pretty much change whatever you want. So again, I can add, oops. There we go. add answer questions, or sorry, add answer options or add questions if I need to. I'm going to go ahead and not make changes to that. But that's all that there is to polls. And then lastly, you have your reporting tab. And that just has a couple different reports that you can pull to get some information about the people that have visited your booth. So you have your click report. I can just run that, and that will export as an Excel file with that information. And that's just going to show you information about the people who have visited your booth, keeping in mind that information can only be provided from those who have opted into sharing their information. So if you're seeing what looks like maybe some minor discrepancies in that, it may just be that someone has opted out of sharing their information, which could slightly change that. But other than that, you'll get all the information there. And then the drop business card report is, if I go back over here and close that, I don't think we have it on this particular example booth, but there would be another section here where attendees can specifically enter their information, similar to exactly what it says, dropping a business card into your booth with their info on it. So that is that, if they have provided that. And that is pretty much all there is to it. Again, you'll be getting your login credential email, so keep an eye out for that. And then also just worth noting that only registered exhibit staff pass holders will receive access to this booth portal. So if you're not receiving those credentials for this, that is likely why. Just make sure that you are a registered exhibit staff pass holder. And keeping in mind as well that there will be a separate training video from this one that will go over more detail, the front end of the booth and these different tabs that I was kind of briefly showing you here. Thank you everyone for your time.